All right, so tonight, this is what we're going to do. Yeah. Oh, and you do. You need that sigh of contentment. That yeah. You have to drink very noisily as well. You know, Brewfrost, I don't. There is a very. It's a tasty zero sugar orange soda, but I don't know if it's something about the orange or the coloring or something. I feel kind of like, I don't know, like weird or yucky. Like I might get a low grade headache after I drink orange soda, which sucks because it tastes really good. All right. Well, as you may have gleaned, tonight is Call of Cthulhu. I have a friend. I have a friend lurking, and you know what, chat? That's you tonight. Tickle, tickle. This is going to be you. As you are going to go on a choose your own adventure called Alone Against the Dark. What, see, Brewforce, I can have like the blood orange, like no dye, no caffeine, no sugar, whatever, like generic Kroger beverage, like the liter bottle. I can have blood orange. It tastes really good. So it must be something in the dye, because that doesn't give me headaches or make me feel kind of weird. Now we will be referencing the rule book, as we will be needing to go into some character creation. If you have zero knowledge of Call of Cthulhu, that's fine. I have almost zero knowledge of Call of Cthulhu, and yet here we are. We are going to face down the dark together. But don't worry, while you are alone, you are also not alone. And we'll go through it step by step. Ooh, baby, I'm going to get to you, Earl. Plus, if nothing else, I'll just go, Ivalon. What? Ivalon, tell me what to do. Broadcaster asks chat for help because he is lost in the dark. Well, I don't know if it's the flavoring. I can have the clear orange sodas. I think it's the dye. Anyway, before we get to rule books and this story, and of course we have a character that we need to flesh out as well, I want to play for you all the introduction to The Lady in Red, which is the Call of Cthulhu three-parter that I ran for members of chat last year. It was a custom adventure set in Oklahoma in 1935, if I recall correctly. It might have been 30... Ooh, was it 35? It might have been 36. Anyway, to get you into the mindset and the mood. Now, of course, this is more pertaining to Oklahoma, but to introduce that sense of mystery, that sense of foreboding or interconnectiveness, as this isn't just horror for, oh, it's a zombie. I don't know if there's a zombie in here, by the way. There could be, I don't know. Or like, oh, it's a spooky, scary skeleton. This is, it is a mystery. It's unraveling things that are ancient and make you feel very small in the world. And so I want to introduce that feeling, that emotion, to then prime us to go into the books. We're going to finish building Louis Grunewald, Professor Louis Grunewald, which will give you some basics in the mechanics of how to play, because it's a percentile system. If you can roll a D100, you can play Call of Cthulhu. And it just so happens I have a command up here in chat just for that. So for those of you here, I will be asking you to roll something, or we'll go through it together. But let me open up my video player here. And I want to play for you The Song of My People. This is in 2 parts, by the way. So, with that introduction, also, hello, GMV, thank you for joining us. With that introduction, you got to get a feel of the setting and the era. You got this feeling of real world, the good and the bad, that it's our starting place. It's what we know. It's what we're comfortable with, even if what we're comfortable with is uncomfortable. You know, strife and war and everything else that humans have between each other. Because from that starting place, we then stray and we realize that images like one of the pictures there was from the Tulsa race riots of 24. I want to say it was something along that. If I have the date wrong, it's been a while since I was looking into this to make the story. Because in the scale of this kind of story and this kind of horror, it's important to realize that we are literal who's in the grand scheme of the universe. Hi, fat guy. Ooh, fat guy. Did you hear that cat? Nice. One must have snuck in here. It is raining outside. Maybe a stray cat got in here. So it is very important to remember that for, to get into the setting and the time and the mood as humans, steps like that are wonderful to take. Because then from the known, even if it's stuff that we don't like, especially as, modern day people, we realize that a lot of our human doings are they really that important in the grand scheme of things? Are there things that are larger than us at play? For as much as we spend time celebrating little things, big things, or fighting over petty things or major things, what is very important? Like, what is actually at stake? Better in a cat than a barking spider. Yeah, a couple of those have been known to be in this building, Brufros. But yeah, fat guy, I appreciate you stopping by. Hopefully you can linger. I will very much be telling a spooky story, a create your own adventure. None of you have to know the Call of Cthulhu system to enjoy it, but I will have on some nice atmospheric music, and we'll delve into our adventure here. I want something somewhat collegiate sounding here. Actually, this is an investigator's office. I think this will work. Boston, 1919. Strange things are afoot. You've been hired to look into them. You know what? This might work. Yep. We cannot fully know or comprehend, which is why faith is something that is inherent to us as a species. Otherwise, we may very well go mad. Uh-oh. Is that the call to adventure? Now, for our system here, and it might be better if I move this over here. And I'm going to bring up this window, okay? So we are to read the introduction and the getting started sections, and let's go forward from there. The author's forward, if you would like to read the author's notes. You'll need a pencil, scratch paper, dice, and the Call of Cthulhu rulebook. Copy or print the 4 ready-made investigators. We have an electronic copy, don't worry about it. Since each investigator communicates with the next, it's reasonable and proper to design succeeding investigators in the light of what has happened in the past, as well as to suggest the particular investigator's backstory and experiences. Alternatively, you can roll up your own investigator, and that's what Ivalon had suggested. Maybe we can make a me or one of you all in chat. I guess if all 4 die, you have not lost. You can begin again, either reusing Grunewald or try an investigator of your own design. When you finish a series, of 4 investigators, turn back the clock. His initial starting point is always September 1st of 1931, and try again. So investigators succeeding Professor Grunewald begin in play at stated amounts of time following the death of the preceding investigator, if it happens. It doesn't have to. It's not a guarantee, but from what I understand, things can get kind of spicy over the adventure for our dear language professor. And the order of play does not change. If using investigators of your own design, just substitute in their names. So 4 ready-made ones are in the adventure. Note you'll only need certain. Note that only certain skills have already been allocated points. You have a pool of 150 skill points to spend on any skills. This can include increasing those skills' already allocated points or choosing other skills to broaden out the investigator's abilities. You'll notice that although some of the investigators have weapons written down, they only have the base skill chance for the weapon written down. It's up to you to decide if you want to bolster their combat skills or focus on non-combat skills. As a guide, the following skills could be useful: climb, charm, fast talk, fighting, firearms, history, intimidate, jump, library use, listen, persuade, psychology, spot, hidden, stealth, and throw. Allocate the 150 bonus skill points as you wish, of course. You'll have to pick which skills you think are going to be useful. And we will do that as we make a bit more of a backstory for the professor. We'll see what that backstory tells us about him and where we might want to allocate skills. So we have the form fillable, so I'm not worried. I'm not worried about that. You may, if you prefer, use one of your own. Yep, so we know that. Insanity. Even if they do not die, during the course of play, several of your investigators are likely to become temporarily or permanently insane with specific game effects. In this adventure, only temporary and permanent insanity exist. Treat indefinite insanity as temporary insanity. Ignore phobias and manias. The scenario does not utilize these consequences of insanity. An investigator who is reduced to 0 sanity points becomes permanently insane and is out of the game. Treat him or her as dead and warm up the next investigator. An investigator who is temporarily insane is out of the game for the rolled amount of time. Roll 1d10 for the number of hours the investigator is out of play. During this time, the investigator will be huddling in a corner, and so on. At the end of this period, the investigator is sane. As an option, because temporarily insane investigators are likely not to write, the player may activate the next investigator instead. Play the latter until his or her demise or success, then return to the former investigator if the latter dies. At that time, though, the rest of the days of insanity must be taken. Make a note in the journal so that you remember what's going on. Leapfrog only one investigator at a time in this fashion. Becoming sane again, an investigator starts at the same entry number as when he or she went insane, but the encounter which precipitated the insanity is presumed over, and the player should go to the next entry or backtrack to an appropriate decision point. When in combat, your opponent's fighting skill will be noted in the following format. Blah, blah, blah. 50% is the regular attack roll, while the numbers in parentheses denote the half, hard, and 1/5 extreme success levels for figuring who won the combat round, i.e., who got the best level of success. Damage shows the dice you must roll to determine how many hit points loss your investigator suffers if your opponent successfully hits you. Ignore major wounds for this scenario. If your investigator is hurt, they will naturally heal 1 hit point per day, or they may seek medical assistance if appropriate to their location. Assume treatment occurs without mishap. Make a luck roll. If failed, 1d3 hit points are recovered. If successful, 2d3 hit points are recovered, if you had an excellent doctor. Assume 1 day of recovery for such treatment. Mark recovery time off on the calendar. If you're going, oh, words, wall of text, blah, blah, blah. Nobody has time for rules. I want to play a game. Which is, as much as you might go, wait a minute, what? Look, this is a real sentiment. I don't expect you all to memorize the minutia of what's here. This is on me to juggle and to go back and forth. But I want to present that this scenario does have a couple things in mind. It is warning or preparing us for what could lie ahead. It is recommended that you use the optional spending luck rule. That's on 99 of the core rulebook. This rule allows you to spend your luck points to alter the result of skill or characteristic rolls. You may alter a roll on a 1-for-1 basis, and spent luck is deducted from your current luck total. For example, you fail a climb roll by rolling 54 when your climb skill is 50. You may spend 4 points of luck to alter the dice result to 50. Another example, you are in combat and your opponent has made an attack and succeed with a regular success. You have decided to fight back rather than dodge, but have also rolled a regular success. Your opponent wins the combat on a tie. Your fighting skill is 50% and you rolled 49. You may spend 24 points of luck to alter the dice result to 25, which turns your regular success into a hard success. Thus, you win the combat that round. Note, for the duration of the scenario, you cannot regain spent luck points. Each time you spend luck points, you lower your investigator's luck percentile. If you are asked to make a luck roll, you must now roll equal to or under your lowered luck total. If you spend all your luck points, you could end up on 0 luck, and this is not a good place to be. Remember, you cannot spend luck points to alter damage rolls, luck rolls, sanity rolls, or rolls to determine the amount of sanity points lost. Your investigators may never know it, but they are involved in a collective race against time. To win, you must allot time to their activities in an efficient manner. Every hour of every day must be accounted for on the 1931 calendar. And that's on 48 and 49. We'll get there. A number followed by an A is a morning hour. A number followed by P is afternoon or evening hour. The N stands for noon. The M stands for midnight. At most locations, the amount of time that passes is specifically indicated, but not always. Sometimes at a library, passing time is indicated by a number of topics studied. In other locations, different arrangements may exist for noting the passing of hours or for other record keeping. Thank you, Brewfrost. Be well. Movement from one location to another location on the same location table is assumed to take exactly 1 hour. No more and no less. This time cost usually is not noted, since your investigator may go from one location to another when you wish. Oh, goodness. In New York, Athens, and Egypt, you may walk from location to location rather than taking a taxi, an action costing an additional hour per each stroll. Travel between location tables takes the amount of time specified at the port, airport, or train station. During a journey, the passing of time may change according to the situation. Such specific instructions for travel time record keeping will be found in pertinent entries. Note any losses of hit points or magic points on the calendar. Or enter the loss, hour, and day in your journal. Make a habit of studying the calendar or journal to see when those points can be regained. Hit points regenerate at 1 point per day. Magic points return at the rate of 1 per hour to the investigator's normal maximum. In search or research situations, rifling rooms, quizzing suspects, examining library holdings, etc., each interview or topic costs 1 hour. Be patient about these amounts of time. What anyone actually gleans is not necessarily a function of the time they invest. At several points during the timekeeping scheme of Alone Against the Dark changes. Those points will be indicated in the text and instructions given. Investigators must spend time every day to sleep and to eat. 2 hours per day must be given over to eating. A meal always lasts 1 hour. The 2 meals of the day must be separated by an interval of at least 6 hours. On the calendar, circle the hours so spent. Conveniently, meals may be obtained at any time during the 24-hour cycle. One or both meals may be skipped for 1 day, but must be made up the next day, along with the second day's meals. If your investigator is unable to eat, the meal periods must be spent resting, with the same loss of time. He or she loses 1 hit point for each day of fasting. Meal availability is part of the information available in location tables. 8 hours must be spent sleeping. Alas, none of your investigators are good at catnaps. The time spent sleeping must be a continuous block, and they need all their sleep. An investigator may sleep fewer than 8 hours one night, but all the lost sleep time must be made up the following night as part of the continuous sleep block requirement for that second night. Circle the hours spent sleeping so that you can remember. You cannot stock up on food or sleep. Sleeping 10 to 11 hours the previous night does not change your need for 8 hours of sleep the next night. Similarly, stuffing 4 meals into an investigator one night doesn't prevent the need for food the next day. Now, in game terms, in rule terms, there is a certain minimum time that is going to be baked into the need to sleep for, I guess, a sense of normalcy. Now, we do have rules to bend that up here, over here, I should say. And we can, but there are considerations that, normally this is what we're going to be doing. So we can purchase things in Arkham, New York, Athens, Cairo, and Alexandria. Try to avoid buying beyond the reason and capability of your investigator's credit rating. There's no keeper to monitor your spending, so be honest and try and play in the spirit of the game. Financial record keeping is not required. If your investigator could reasonably expect to purchase a certain item in a given location, then just note the item on the investigator sheet and don't worry about the cost. Lacking cab, train, boat, or plane, be reasonable in how much your investigators carry. All items can be left safely for the day in a hotel room or a vehicle. If an investigator dies in a private place, a succeeding investigator can acquire the property by reaching that entry number and making a successful luck roll. Each investigator can pass on property once in a game. For obvious reasons, an investigator cannot inherit from himself or herself. Fail the luck roll or die a public death, and any property is out of play. Use a notebook or scratch paper, and I have scratch paper here, to record anything pertinent during the investigation, keeping a note of your current entry number, any special instructions, as well as the game date and time are all useful things to get in the habit of recording. You may wish to make a note of any particular equipment or weapons your investigator has on their person. Object of the game: to get a perfect score in Alone Against the Dark, you must have saved the world without losing a single investigator on the way. That is, your original investigator, Professor Grunewald, must have survived and succeeded. Though desirable, that outcome is unlikely. Be prepared to lose several or all of the investigators, and even to run all 4 several times in repeated attempts to complete the scenario. Investigators do not exist to survive, but to battle great forces, win or lose. Alright, so location format, these are notes. We can come back to them here. And the last part here of tips and hints. Think strategically. Make general plans. There is no way to know what happens from entry to entry. In general, either a place is recognizable as potentially dangerous, or the description will be cryptically threatening. Despite obvious danger, often your investigators will have to go anyway. That's their fate. Use the phone. Make notes concerning what you want to do and see. Try to arrange an efficient daily schedule. You can make all the plans you want without expending any game time as long as you stay inside an entry. All points on a particular location table are, in game terms, equidistant. Go nowhere without reason. Be cautious. Allow for wild goose chases. The few friendly characters in the adventure can be of considerable help. Some unfriendly characters, of course, can be downright deadly. Keep track of time. You're racing against events beyond immediate control, and failure to keep accurate time may mean that important events do not happen. That may be good or bad. Be honest in your calendar timekeeping. Your investigators need sanity, friends, language skills, good physical condition, and equipment and supplies. You may be asked to choose a skill to use from a selection. Not all available skills will yield useful information. Sometimes it's about picking the right skill in the right location. Use your luck points wisely and never let your luck total fall to 0. If you're asked to make a survival desert skill roll and you have the survival skill but not the geographic specialism, you may attempt the roll at a hard difficulty. If you become disoriented by an entry, go to the location table and try the sequence again. If you've not previously done so, make sure you have done all of the tasks listed in preparing to start. And then start your adventure on at entry 13, which is page 11. So we'll get to page 11. I will double check. I do have some of the things already printed out, but it does seem like there's a calendar here that I can print out as well. We'll take a look. Copy or print the handouts on 91 to 94 for play. You'll need to refer to them at different times. We have the investigator sheet. Some entries refer to information found in the rulebook. I have the rulebook handy. Alright, so let's look at page 91. Okay, that I have. I have this thing ready to go. And let me check this calendar, see if I need to print that out while we're here. Where did I read that? combat, luck points, about time. There we go. Pages 48 and 49. All right, let's print. We're going to go to... Where are you? Pages 48 to 49. I'll show you on the big cam as well. So here's our calendar that we can use this to help track what's happening on each of these days. There's AM and PM on them. In fact, can I get this? Go like that. And we go like this. That can work for now. Okay. Now, we know that, so there's various rules to stay within the boundaries of the spirit of our story. I need your all's help, chat. We're going to finish making Professor Louis Grunewald here, okay? This is what he begins with. Here is the basics, okay? I have transferred this over to this form fillable sheet. Now, how do we go about making a character in Call of Cthulhu? Let's close this out, and I'm going to take us over to... Ba-ba-doo. Do 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 do. All right, so a lot of this is already done for us. And in fact, let's turn this into... here. A lot of our stats, all this stuff is done for us. We just need to spend we need to spend more into the character. Now, how can we decide? We could go, well, the adventure does recommend that climb is important. Now you see that all Call of Cthulhu characters have a 20% climb starting. And we can, if we want to spend 30 points of our 150, this means that Professor Louis Grunewald here has experience climbing. He'd have a 50% chance of succeeding on a normal test. But let's add a little bit more personality. And that's because we don't know things like our ideology and beliefs. We don't know our meaningful locations. We have a personal description that he has a prominent nose, mustache, usually messy and unkempt hair. He has a friend named Ernest Holt, and he has taught Lydia Lau and Devin Wilson. Cool. But what does this mean for our professor? Is he a part-time rock climber as well? Let's find out. Let's get into the role-playing aspect. So, what is his ideology or beliefs? GMV, would you please type exclamation point 1D10 in chat? And let's find out what our language professor at Miskatonic University has by way of ideology or beliefs. Lands on a 4. A belief in fate, ergo karma, the class system is superstitious. A belief in fate. So, a power outside of us. Maybe an undeniable one, too. Or something that does need appeasement. We do have our significant people. Meaningful locations. Who else is hanging out? Brufros is headed out. Ivalon, if you're here, can I have you type exclamation point 1D10? And for those, whoever's in chat and would like to help us generate our character, let me know that you're here so I can call on you. It lands on an 11. Hi, Lucius. Ivalon, 11 is your choice. Either you can re-roll, though the 1D10 command is on cooldown, so you could type 2D10, and we'll just take the first one that's not an 11. Or you can choose. You can choose 1 through 10. Your seat of learning, your hometown, the place you met your first love, a place for quiet contemplation, a place for socializing, a place connected with your ideology or belief, the grave of a significant person, your family home, the place you were happiest in your life, or your workplace. All right, a place that's tied to some sort of fate. A place connected to your ideology or belief. A church, parish church, Mecca, or Stonehenge. Meaningful locations. A place connected with your belief in fate. Now, we do know that our native language is German. We can also speak English. And we do have a working comprehension for Nordic and Latin. So we are German. So presumably at some point in our life, we moved over to the U.S. and we were accepted as a language professor at Miskatonic University. If we have a belief in some sort of outside fate, it might be what landed us that job. That we moved from Germany and we got a job at an American university. It doesn't have to be the university. It could actually be someplace in Germany that is a place connected with your belief in fate. So let's see. Examples are a parish church, Mecca, or Stonehenge. What would be a fated, a place of superstition or fate? Maybe there's the Black Forest. There's many different castles. It's clear that we studied language in the old world. What would be something fateful? Let's see. Germany has ties with... Why would he know Latin? Of course, there is just Catholicism. There is the fact that the Goths and the Vandals, the Germanic barbarians, were at war with the Roman Empire at some point. You know what? Let's do this. Germany versus Rome battles. The Battle of Teutoburg Forest, described as the Varian disaster by Roman historians, was a major battle between Germanic tribes and the Roman Empire that took place somewhere near modern Calcrease from September 8th through 11th, 9 AD, when an alliance of Germanic peoples ambushed 3 Roman legions. Ooh, it is September in the game as well. Led by Publius Quintilius Varus and their auxiliaries. The alliance was led by Arminius, a Germanic officer of Varus's auxilia. So maybe we as this professor toured this forest. It was living history. This set us on the path to learn languages and history and other things that now led us to the one who teaches history and teaches language. So Teutoburg Forest, the site of the Varian disaster, where Germanic barbarians took on Roman legions. All right. What is a treasured possession we have? Lucius, would you please type exclamation point 1D10? Things das goes boom in das Nacht. Ja. Oh, Lucius, are you here? Tell you what, GMV, in the meantime, can you give me another 1D10 roll in chat? For those of you hanging out in chat, I'd love to call on you. Let me know that you are here and not simply lurking. And then we can have you roll some D10s to get us going. GMV says Professor Grunewald's most treasured possession is 7. Something you found, but you don't know what it is. You seek answers. Ergo, a letter you found in a cupboard written in an unknown language. Ooh. A curious pipe of unknown origin found among your late father's effects. A curious silver ball you dug up in your garden. Alright, so we have something you found but don't know what it is. You seek answers. Maybe this is something we found in the forest. This is a relic from the ancient battle in Teutoburg Forest. I guess it could be, well, we're not sure. We don't know if it's Germanic. We don't know if it is Roman. It could be of some alien origin or something. Like what? what led, what is a fun superstitious take that we can have with what our Wikipedia entry was talking about? Maybe this can give us some fun flexibility. It's an iPhone 15 found back in 1931, which actually would be quite odd. All right, what is a trait that we have? You know what? I will roll a trait. And then, Ivlon, if you're still here too, I will call on you next. We roll an 8. Loyal, ergo stands by his or her friends, never breaks a promise, would die for his or her beliefs. So if we're going to face our fate, we have to face our fate. Maybe he knew that the Germanic barbarians knew that they would be facing a greater foe, and yet they stood and delivered. So trait, loyal. Would die for his beliefs. Injuries and scars. Well, there's not a particular table for this. You know what, though? Injuries or scars might come about from actually becoming injured over the course of things. Shoot. Evelyn, then, I stole your thunder. I'm sorry. But that's okay, because if we need a roll for something, then you can be the first up there. So we know that we were born in someplace Germany. We'll just put Germany. We'll gain injuries and scars. Phobias and manias are going to be gained. Arcane tones and spells, encounters strange entities. Pardon. All right, so we can buy some equipment. We have $2,200. And our credit rating, we are at our credit rating is 35. We have average. A reasonable level of comfort, 3 meals a day, and occasional treat. An average home or apartment, either rented or privately owned. Expect to stay in moderately priced hotels. Standard forms of travel can be used, but not first class. Now, we can buy this up with our points. If we want our professor to have more money, that can be a part of our expenditure of points. Now, as we expend points, will that support what we know of our professor? That he has this belief in fate, or a belief in fate or superstition. And in fact, if we come back here from the other things, this could even be a belief in fate / Germanic, pagan / barbarian superstition. Specifically, Germanic, pagan / barbarian superstition. Would it be? Let's see. Well, it says available cash here. Not necessarily care to the person. The keeper may ask where it's being kept, for example. So, like, it's in the bank, but this could allow us to spend a little bit beforehand, if we want or need, I guess. Yeah. So that might be just things that, like, I don't know. It so happens that we have a trusty six shot, right? And we take that with us on our adventure or something like that. We could buy it out of that cash. All right, so we know that we have a belief in fate, specifically Germanic, pagan, or barbarian superstition. That we are an educator, a language professor at Miskatonic University. We have a connection with this. Maybe it's it's rumored to be a haunted forest. It have great historical importance. Our treasured possession, it's something we found, but we don't know what it is. And that we are loyal and would die for our beliefs. Maybe Miskatonic allowed us to try and pursue an answer to that question because it has a reputation for mystery. So, looking at our character and knowing we can dump 150 points, where would we like to take this character? What would we like to increase? Needs to buy some Wiener Schnitzel to take with him, in case he gets the munchies out in the field. Now, our strength is 7, and I mean, there's a baked-in presumption we can acquire some meals with our income level. And we can, if we bump it up to 50, then we could be wealthy even. We are reasonably strong. We do have some old man strength. We're 53. Our strength is 70. Our con is 50. We're still somewhat limber, and of course we're very intelligent. So we, buying up physical skills isn't beyond some kind of isn't beyond belief. Fact or fiction. What do you think would be good to buy up for him? We have in cryptography. We have some training at 40. We can read. This is technically a language, but I ran out of room here in the language section. Hieroglyphics is technically a language. What else are we especially good at? We're good at speaking German, these languages. Library use is up to 60. Ivalon was talking about library use. So, of course, we're a researcher. So maybe finding this weird thing in the Germanic forest is what put us onto this learning and then even to teaching, because by teaching we learn even more. Archaeology can go up as it's at a generic 45. Everything else is pretty much default. So what might we be good at doing? I'm thinking we could increase our credit rating. It would give us a more of a budget. But let's see, if we grew up exploring the forest, and then we were training in history. You know what? History is only at 5. Though we do have archaeology. Maybe we should buy up history. Maybe bring history and archaeology both up to, bring that up to 45. Well, we can get another science if you think botany. Why would botany work for you, GMV? I'm not against putting it down. I just want to know what's the thought. Why would this character be good at botany? Let's see. If we grew up in a forest, we might actually still be good at climbing. Can recognize poisonous mushrooms and itchy plants. Well, how much would you like for us to put into botany, if that's the case? Just a little bit, like, 20, 25? So let's see, if we have 150, if we go, I'm thinking, let's bring archaeology at least to 50. Let's bring history up to 50. That uses 50, so we'd be at 100. GMV, I don't know. I don't know if it will be. This is up to us looking at his past, how he grew up, the things that he treasures and values. And that led to him moving from Germany across the Atlantic to eventually become a professor of language at Miskatonic University in Arkham. Since we know for sure he's 53, he is a language professor at Miskatonic. If we do climb of 30, then we're at 70. Spot hidden. Especially because we found this thing in the forest. That could be spot hidden. If we brought spot hidden up to... if we added 25, then we're at... that would be 65. So then we're at 40. Well, then instead of botany, maybe we could just put that in natural world, GMV. I think that might fit what you're looking for. Although, as we have a superstition, as we believe in superstition, maybe bringing up some occult studies could be useful. Especially because we have this unknown artifact from an ancient war. So this is what I'm proposing. We would have 40 left. We could put natural world if we have 40. If we put 15 into it to bring it to 25, that would be 35. And then if we put 35 into occult, that would bring us to 40. So this is my proposal. So this GMV, that would go into him being in the forest and learning about it. His occult studies, it would support his belief in fate and superstition. This would bring up his history and his archaeology. So why I'm failing to connect GMV. Why are we going from Germany to Arkham and now over to Oklahoma? So for others out there, Ivalon or others who are out who are watching, you are welcome to make a recommendation, just as GMV is. Let me know your thoughts. No, this is not Oklahoma, GMV. I played the introduction as a way to get into the mood about how a Call of Cthulhu story works. We live in... I know what the abbreviation for Oklahoma is. I did that as a preview to show the mood. You know, we have history, we have science, we have the world that we know that gradually descends into things that we don't know, outside, you know, challenging us outside our expertise. This game is starting in... No. I mean, if there's a link, I don't mind. I don't mind making some cheeky reference over to Oklahoma. The events in 1931 here would be happening before the events that take place in Oklahoma. Though, you know what? I'm very happy that you did bring up, that game, and, if you're able to watch it, and if you did, I hope you enjoyed it. But we're running Alone Against the Dark out of the book. All right, well, not hearing any challenges to my thinking here, let's do that. So we're going to put climb. Well, we're going to add 5 to archaeology, bringing that to 50. History, we're going to add 45 to make that 50. We're going to add 30 to climb to bring that to 50. And then we're going to add 25 to spot hidden to bring that to 50. And then we bring occult to 40. So we can trim some to bring natural world up a little bit here, because GMV made a point about the, maybe a point about the trees and such. So maybe we can borrow 5 from history. We can borrow 5 from spot hidden, and we'll add 10 to natural world, giving them a 20 here. Well, something like poisons or psychedelics, that might come over into psychology or even medicine, too. All right, well, if I've doomed us all with this point spread, I'm sorry, but let's have fun. All right, so we have our character. We can always go shopping for things, but let's see what the adventure says first. Oh, this is page 11. Let's move this over here. And then this is going to be our character sheet. It ain't the point spread that's gonna kill him. All right, we're on page 11, and we are starting at entry number 13. So, I think we're ready to begin.